Hello everyone, welcome back and welcome to my channel if you're new. I am sorry that this is how we're meeting. Today I'm going to be sharing my miscarriage story. I was thinking about what video to do this week and I felt God put it on my heart to share the story, and I didn't know if I was going to share this story. I kind of thought so, but I didn't know what, in what timing. I didn't know when I was going to share. It has been a good while since it happened. This whole thing happened last year. The first half of the year, so I've definitely had time to heal some. It's not just brand new fresh, but yeah, I didn't know if I was going to share, but God just put it on my heart, and I was just thinking that, God takes what was meant for evil and he turns it for good. And so I just pray that this can be good in some way. I don't know how, but maybe by sharing I'll be able to reach the hearts of somebody who needs it, the heart of somebody who needs it. But yeah, just first, before I begin, I want to give a disclaimer. Well, I just want to caution you, if this is triggering to you, don't watch. And if you are pregnant, I would caution you against watching as well, just because I don't want to be the source of any unnecessary anxiety. Just cherish this time and don't be worried the whole time. I actually wasn't worried, and it's gonna turn out how it turns out, and I pray that that's beautifully and wonderfully, with your precious baby in your arms. But worrying only adds stress and negativity, and your baby can feel your anxiety and your stress. So I just want to caution you against watching if you're pregnant. But you're welcome here. Feel free to stay if you want to hear my story. But yeah, just I care about you. So if this is too much, just don't watch a different video of mine if you'd like. But anyway, let me get into it. Back in February of 2024, we were visiting my hometown, and we were actually there for about a month. And I ended up getting pregnant on that trip. And it's our first pregnancy. It was actually our first time trying, kind of. Like we just weren't careful. It was our first time not being careful, and it happened very quickly. So I feel so blessed about that. Because even though it turned out the way it did, it was a blessing that I got pregnant quickly. But anyway, so yeah, on February 26th, I had been having just all these symptoms, and that was about 6 days before I expected my period. But we were coming home from church, my church that I've been to since I was super young in my hometown. And we stopped at Trader Joe's, and I did not want to go in. I felt so crappy, and I was just I need to get home. I don't feel good. I was like, if I'm not pregnant right now, because I had my suspicions, I was like, then something's seriously wrong, because I do not feel well. I was so tired. I was kind of queasy, and I was just so tired, and I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So I went home then and I took a test, and it was not my first pee of the day. Like, it was 6 days before I expected my period. So it was negative, and I was like, okay, it kind of brought me down to like flat ground a little bit. And I was like, okay, so either it was too early and I'm pregnant, because I'm like, seriously, if I'm not pregnant, something's wrong. Like with me, because like of how weird I felt. I was like, this is not normal. Like, I have to see a doctor if I'm not pregnant. Like, my body should not be feeling like this. And so anyway, like, I was like, okay, I guess I'm not. And then the next day I was like really crampy, and I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna start my period. So I just didn't think so, but then I was like, well, I'm just gonna check the following day when it was a little bit closer to when I was going to start my period. So it was like 3 or 4 days before I was supposed to. So that was February 28th in the morning. I did like the first pee of the day, and that came back positive. So I'll actually let you watch that. I did get clips of some of these things, so I'll insert them, but I'll let you watch that. Look into this. I'm shaking so bad. Hold on. I think I might be pregnant. I'm gonna have to take more tests. I'm gonna have to get So after it came back positive, I went and I was like, I need more pregnancy tests and I need a way to surprise my husband, because like 2 positives, I was like, I'm pretty sure like you don't just get 2 positives and you're not. So I did go get like another pack of pregnancy tests, just like so I could keep testing and like just make sure. But I didn't feel the need to test like more that day. I figured I would test the next day, and I just got some things to surprise my husband. So I did end up surprising him. It was such a special way in my mind to surprise him, so I'll insert that here.
No, baby. No, you're not. No, you're not.
I think so. I checked your test.
Did they report positive? You lied to me?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know. Baby, did you think?
Oh, no.
I'm shaking so bad. Oh my gosh. I wonder, I can't flip it around, so I'm gonna have to go like this. I'm shaking so bad, so I don't know if you can see that. How do you feel? I want to show you the test, and I want to show you I got something else for you, but I'm going to show you the test. I didn't know. I'm shaking.
Oh. I was like, see, I'm already unbuttoning my shirt. I'm all nervous.
I don't know. I guess the other test was too soon. And I was so confused because I was really feeling cramping. Like, I thought I was going to get my period. And I was really feeling cramping. And I was like, I was sad, But I was like, I mean, what can you do? But I was so shocked this morning. I was like, I just have to check, And I was going to check again tomorrow or like in a couple days if it was negative. I was just going to check again just to be like extra sure. But then like, I took videos of it. You can see. So after that, we went home not that long after, like a week after I found out I was pregnant. And then, like I was getting symptoms. My breasts were definitely sore, tender, and I was having to pee all the time. And I was starting to get like queasy when I would get up in the morning. I wasn't like super nauseous at all the whole time that I was pregnant, basically. But when I would get out of bed in the morning, like I needed to go eat like pretty much right then. And usually I would like jostle myself too much and I would end up like throwing up, because also water, it didn't taste bad, but I just like couldn't stomach it. I don't know why. I did force myself, but like especially first thing in the morning, it was kind of a no-go. So anyway, I dealt with the symptoms, and everything was going pretty good. I called it's like a midwifery, but it's at the hospital here. So I called to see if I could get in with a midwife. Like, I didn't know when I was supposed to, but they're like, okay, when you're 8 weeks, That's typically when we'll bring you in for your first appointment, and we'll do like a little low-key ultrasound, and you'll meet your midwife and stuff like that, and we'll just see if there's we'll like check for the heartbeat, and you'll kind of get to see baby. And I was like, okay. And I was still so early when I called, so I had to wait like at least 3 weeks till that appointment. So yeah, I just kept rolling with the symptoms and just believing everything was good, and like I just didn't have the anxiety that I know a lot of women do get. And so I went in for my appointment, and she like started up the ultrasound. Well, she did like a pelvic exam, like a breast exam. She like, you know, they check you. And then she did a pelvic exam. She's like, oh yeah, you're definitely pregnant. And I was like, yeah. And so towards the end of the appointment, it was like one of the last things she did, she got out the ultrasound machine, and she did just like a little low-key ultrasound, and I got to see baby, and I got to see baby's heartbeat, and yeah, heartbeat was strong, and I got to see it, and we did actually hear it. I know some places like they'll do the heartbeat, and they'll wait to do the sound of the heartbeat till a little bit later on, but the midwife was saying that like it's totally fine to do it briefly. Like you don't want to be doing it all the time, but she's like to do a brief check at 8 weeks or 8.5 weeks, almost 9 weeks. Like she's like, that's totally fine. So she did do that, and we got to hear it.
Wow, good. Yeah, and your uterus feels about that far along. And again, we don't do measurements up here, but you look about where you should be at. So
Okay, good.
beautiful embryonic sacs, perfectly round, so it looks perfect.
Oh, that's so good to know.
Yeah. Isn't it?
Then, like at that appointment, I scheduled my my 12-week appointment, which we actually scheduled for 13 weeks. I don't know why, but it just like ended up being for 13 weeks. I think it was like 13 weeks and a day or something like that. Oh, my foot's asleep. And yeah, so then I left, and just everything was pretty normal. I actually ended up calling a different midwife, the midwife that my sister used, to see if she could come do a like it's the NIPT test. So long story short, like I got the NIPT test done at home, and waited for the results, and everything came back normal, and we found out baby's gender, which I can put a clip of that in here too.
All right.
Ready, set, go.
I am surprised.
I can stand right.
Are you sure it's the right color?
So we found out that we were having a girl, and that shook me to my absolute core. Like I had to come inside after, because I thought like I couldn't stand. I was like, that's not true. Like I was so sure that it was a boy. I don't know why. Like, and I was like, well, dang, my instincts are, I don't know if I can trust my instincts, because I was so sure it was a boy. And everybody, like all of our family members who knew, and like everybody thought it was a boy, and it was a girl. So yeah, then it was just a few more weeks until the ultrasound appointment. So I think it's like I don't know what day we did the gender reveal. But then a few weeks later was the ultrasound, and I was like very excited and nervous. Like for the first time I was nervous. I hadn't been nervous, but I was nervous, kind of in a good way though, like nervous, excited, but also just like shaking. And I don't know, it was a lot. I was like eager to see how she had been growing, and just I don't know, because I was like, I was 13 weeks. I was supposed to be 13 weeks at that time. And I was like, I'll probably start to feel her soon, like feel her kicking soon and all that. So I just wanted to see her. And so I was very excited about that appointment. So we went to the appointment. I was gonna do the ultrasound first and then meet with my midwife after. So I had like 2 consecutive appointments. It was in the same building. And so we went to the ultrasound, and I had to wait forever to go into the ultrasound room. Like I was like shaking because I was so excited and like nervous. Nervous in a good way. And we got in there, and they're like, hello, like, chatting a little bit with us. And then I like sat down, they put the warm jelly on. She's like, okay, this is gonna be a little warm. And she like started moving it around, and I was like, oh, it was like a little bit sore. I had felt like, I was like, baby's on the right side. Like I had felt her there for a while. And like every time she would go on the right side, it was like a little bit sore. And then she was like, I saw on the screen too, like that's where she was. Like when she would go over that part, I could see the baby. And she's like, oh, I was like, oh yeah, like I totally knew she was on that side. And she was like, oh really? And I was like, yeah. And then it was just silent, except they were playing worship music, which I'd never heard that be played in a hospital before, but it is a Catholic or Christian hospital. So they were playing worship music. And just a little trip back to February when we were in California, like when we were at church, they played this worship song, and I'd never heard it before, but I loved it. And I just I found it on Spotify, and I was like playing it a lot, and I just loved it. And so when we were driving up to the appointment that day, like usual, I just really wanted to listen to worship music as we were driving up to the appointment. And that song played, and I was just like singing it. And I probably played it like a couple times because I really loved it, just throughout that whole time, like since February, since I'd heard it. And we're in the ultrasound room, and that song comes on. And I look over at my husband, and I smile, and he smiles at me. He's like, hey, it's that song. And I was like, I know. And I'm looking at the ultrasound screen though, and baby is not moving at all. And I was like, well, maybe she's sleeping. But she was not moving. And at 13 weeks, like, I've seen videos of people having ultrasounds done at like their 12 week or whatever, and baby's like moving, wriggling. Like my sister was actually pregnant at the time too, and I went to I went to an ultrasound appointment with her when she was 15 weeks, and like baby was like bouncing off the walls in there, like jumping in her uterus and like sliding down the side, like she's going nuts in there. And also just the vibe in the room was strange. Like, the technicians were not talking to me. And it just was so quiet other than the music. And I think I said, like, oh, hey, we were just listening to this song. She's like, oh, really? Like, oh. And it was just weird. Like, it was a weird vibe. And I was starting to get worried. Especially just because, like, baby was not moving. And at one point, I think they were checking for the heartbeat. And, like, I heard, like, the sounds that it makes when, like, you're searching. It's like the sound, you know, when they're searching. Just the wand going over your belly. But I did not hear a heartbeat, and I was just really hoping that, like, they hadn't checked for that yet, and I was wrong. I was hoping baby was sleeping. And so after a little bit of time, the ultrasound technician was like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to the doctor, and I'll send the doctor in. And she, like, really couldn't even say anything else. Like, and I was like, well, that's another bad sign. And I just don't think my husband, like, knew what was going on, because I looked at him and he was, like, smiling when they left the room, and he was smiling, and I was like, what? And he was like, she's cute. And I was like, yeah, she's really cute, but she's not moving, and that's scary. He's like, well, maybe she's sleeping. And I was like, yeah, maybe. But the whole time, like, with them prodding around in there, like, she should be moving. And so anyway, the doctor came in, and he sat down, and he very calmly and kindly just looked at me, and he said, so the baby is not measuring where she should be. You should be 13 weeks and, like, I think it was 1 day today. She's measuring 11 weeks 2 days, or 11 weeks 1 day. And also, we could not find a heartbeat. He's like, I'm so sorry. And I was just like, so that's it? Like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, can you check again? And he's like, yeah, we'll check again. And he's like, yeah, I'm not getting heartbeat, and baby's measuring behind. And he's like, and when I put this heat map on you, you can see, like, your uterus is red on the heat map, but then when we go over the baby, there's no blood flow. It was just wild. Like, I thought, I should be 13 weeks, and so, like, some of my first trimester symptoms were starting to die down, and, like, I wasn't, like, throwing up as much. I wasn't as tired. I was still tired, but, like, not as tired. I was just starting to get some energy back. I wasn't, like, quite as hungry or, like, sensitive to food. Hungry and sensitive to food, like, either wanting to eat or not wanting to eat. And I was like, yay, like, second trimester, I'm so excited. And the hardest part like, part of the hardest part, there's a couple things. I had no real cramping, like, nothing, like, outside of what I had been experiencing, like, the whole time, like, when everything was fine, like, just mild cramping, you know, here and there. That's normal in pregnancy. And I had zero bleeding. It was a miscarriage. And the other hard thing is that I don't think I thought of it, like, while I was in the room, but I was like 11 weeks one day. I was like 11 weeks 2 days was like my hardest day. Like, so I'm not going to go into it right now, but this year, or like, I guess at the end of last year in October, or the last day of September last year, I had an emergency gallbladder surgery to get my gallbladder removed because I had a really bad episode of like trying to pass a gallstone, which I'd had this for like 4.5 years, but I always thought I was having like a weird stomach cramp, and it was like horrible, like it was like debilitating. But like I was like, how do I go to a doctor if I'm just like having a stomach cramp, if I'm not actively having the stomach cramp? And how do I like set an appointment if I don't know when I'm gonna get the stomach cramp or whatever? But like it was so bad. Like, if you've ever had gallstones, like past gallstones or like whatever, like it was starting to happen like frequently, like once every 2 weeks. Like it was so bad. Oh, my foot's asleep again. But like when I was pregnant, I didn't like pass any gallstones, or like I didn't have any episodes like that, any painful episodes. But on 11 weeks 2 days, like it was just like a weird day. Like I was throwing up a lot in the morning, and then that pain started to come on. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting this like thing again. And it lasted longer than I think it ever had. Like I spent hours in bed, just like horrible agony. Like I couldn't breathe. Like I was just in so much pain, like the whole entire day. I couldn't keep anything down, like not food, not water, not like anything to drink. Like as soon as I would take like one sip of water, I'd throw it all up immediately, and then like more. And yeah, I was just in bed like sobbing all day because I was in so much pain. I was throwing up like the whole time. It was just like a horrible day, and I was like trying not to pass out that night. We called my midwife, and she was like concerned, but like she didn't know what was going on. She thought, you know, maybe I was just like having some like really bad gas pain. And she's like, just try to drink water. Like if by the morning you're still throwing up, like go to the hospital and get like a IV of hydration and stuff like that. So like, and she's like, if you feel like you need to go, also just go. But like, I don't know. I didn't know what was going on with me. And at that time, I didn't know that I had any issue with my gallbladder or anything like that. It was only like the very end of September when I roundabout found out what was going on with me when I would have those episodes. And I got like a liver infection, pancreatitis, and like all that stuff, because like one of the stones was blocking my gallbladder. Long story. Like that's not the story I'm telling, but like that's what happened to me that day. And it's so hard to think that could be the reason why, because the whole rest of the time she was good. Like they didn't find anything wrong with her. They didn't find anything like wrong with me. They don't know what happened. There's not like a specific reason as to why I miscarried. And all I can think of is like maybe my body just, maybe she couldn't take what was going on in my body that day. But like if you're a mom, or if you're pregnant, or if you want to be pregnant, like miscarriage, it's not your fault. Like it's not your fault. And I have to remind myself that. I have to tell myself that, like, there's nothing that I could have done. Like, even if I did go to the hospital that night because of my pain, like, I don't know if that would have changed anything. And I don't know. She was so loved. She is so loved. And I'm just, like, grateful that I know she's in heaven. You know, like, I don't know. After finding out that I had miscarried, I had to book an appointment with the obstetrician, because the midwife, like, couldn't really do anything further, especially, like, when it came to, like, a D&C, because, like, my body, I don't know, like, I had no signs, like, I hadn't started bleeding, plus at 11 weeks, like, the baby's pretty big to miscarry on your own, at least, like, fully, or, like, for your body to pass the baby on its own. So I did schedule a D&C, and basically a week after I found out I had the D&C procedure. But that whole week, like, before that and, like, during that time, like, my husband, his work, like, gave him the time off, like, no questions asked. Like, they sent us things so that we could get food, like, I think it was like a DoorDash gift card. They were just so kind and supportive, and I'm just so thankful because I needed my husband. And he was just such a kind support to me. And we just spent, like, the week, like, on the couch, talking and crying, me crying a lot, and, like, watching movies and just, you know, trying to be okay. But it was such a hard time because, like, I think the day after I found out, or 2 days after I found out that I had miscarried, my brother-in-law he graduated from college, and like I couldn't get myself to go. Like, I couldn't, like, I wanted to go, but I couldn't. So my husband and I, like, stayed home, and then, like, a few days after I had the D&C was Mother's Day. And then a couple weeks after that, my niece was born, and I was there for the birth of I don't know, like, I'm not just trying to share this just to, like, be sad and vulnerable. Like, I don't know. I hope that this speaks to someone in some way that helps, because otherwise I don't want to share this. But just one of the things that, you know, God spoke to me during that time was that it was John 10:10 says, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." So it just reminded me that, like, it wasn't his, like, it wasn't his purpose, like, his will for this to happen. And I'm not angry at God. Like, I'm not at all. He gave me his peace that, like, surpasses so much understanding. And I felt that like deep in my soul, like it was hard and I was grieving, and I do grieve, and some days are easier, some days are harder, some days I randomly cry, like getting in my car from the gym, or just whatever. Some days like are okay, and some days are not okay. But I still have peace, and I'm excited to try again. Like we could have tried again very soon after to get pregnant, but I needed some time to heal, and so we were like talking about like maybe trying a few months after or whatever, and we just decided to wait a little bit longer. So we'll see what the Lord has for us coming up. But I just wanted to share this story. And before I end this video, I just want to share like a few things. My aunt also miscarried 2 babies around the same like length along as I did, and she said that this book really helped her, and so she sent it to me. It says, "I'll hold you in heaven," and it's a really kind book. I would really recommend it. Like if you know someone who is miscarried recently, or if you find out that someone you care for is miscarrying, or if you've miscarried, even like further on, like I would still read it at this point, even though it's been like almost a year. But yeah, it's called "I'll Hold You in Heaven: Healing and Hope for the Parent Who Has Lost a Child Through Miscarriage, Stillbirth, Abortion, or Early Infant Death." It says it just answers questions like, what happened to my baby after he or she died? Will I ever see my baby again, and will I recognize them? What happens if I've had an abortion? Does God have a reason for letting my child die? And how can I help a friend who's in grief? So, like, I'm not gonna read this to you or read any bit of it to you, but I would really recommend it. And then I read this more recently. It's from the book Every Moment Holy. It's volume 2, Death, Grief, and Hope, and it just has like liturgies for certain moments or feelings or experiences. And this one is a liturgy for those who have suffered a miscarriage or stillbirth. It says, "O Christ, who gathered children in your arms, you know our ache. You know this void no human words can fill. You understand this grief for our little one while lost in the womb. You were witness to our rising joy. You saw our crumbling hope. Now you behold our sinking sorrow. Christ, be merciful, for we are frail, and in our frailty we have suffered such loss. Heavenly Father, see what room our love had already carved out in our home and in our hearts for the welcome and the wonder of this child whose face we had not kissed and whose tiny hands we had not held, but who had already grown so precious to us. Were we not radiant with anticipation, O Lord, building forward to the day when we would finally meet and cradle our sweet child, only to be met instead with this cratering heartache of sudden loss, this unexpected death of our little one before birth, and with it this dying of dreams for all that might have been. Christ, be merciful, for we are frail, and in our frailty we have suffered such loss. For here we have entered a communion, O Lord, a fellowship none have ever wished to join, of all mothers and fathers and families across time who have wept for their lost children. We lament so much that now will never be. This child we lost will be for us in this life like a song unsung. This child we lost will be for us in this life like a song unsung and a story untold. Christ, be merciful, for we are frail, and in our frailty we have suffered such loss. And yet, even in our deep loss, O Lord, you have not abandoned us or left us without light and hope, for we remember how you, Jesus, loved and welcomed little ones, touching their heads and blessing them, declaring that the kingdom of heaven belonged to these. And you have told us that your promises are for us and for our children. And this one whom we lost, was this not also our child, O God? Our hearts ache even to ponder such things. But is it possible that when all creation is made new, we will find fellowship there with one we could not hold in this life? Could the redemption of this world's harms run so deep, so beyond all imagining? Your word says little of such mysteries, and yet what is revealed, we find good reason to take heart. For even amidst uncertainty, we know this to be true of your works, O Father, and this we cling to. Your grace, your mercy, your redemption, and your love will extend further and will be more wondrous in the perfection than we have ever imagined. However, we might try to conceive of such joys, that conception will be either errant or incomplete, because in our finite knowledge, the capacity for hope will limit the picture we paint in ways that you, in your limitless joy and relentless grace, will never be bounded by. However, we might envision the redemption of this loss. The actual redemption that you effect will be still more glorious. So let us learn to steward well this holy sorrow, assured that it is in some way the buried seed of a flower that will blossom into eternity. Indeed, this future hope will not end the pain we feel today. It does not negate the emptiness of the womb where new life stirred. It does not fill the empty cradle, but it does declare that the empty cradle and the empty womb will not have power to grieve us forever. For one day our eternal joys will flow backward in time even to this broken place, and then those joys will fill every emptiness and every heartbreak the children of God have ever endured. Now, O Lord, we remember your past faithfulness. We receive your present comforts. We await your future redemptions. Let us in this and in all sorrows be met by your loving kindness and consoled by your hope. For yours, O Father, is the kingdom and the power and the glorious redemption of all our losses, even this one. Amen. So I just wanted to read that to you. I know I won't hold that baby, this precious baby that I speak of in this life. Oh, but someday I will. In heaven, I will know her, I will hold her, and she will know me. And I look forward to that day with anticipation. Anyway, we're part of something together, those of us who have endured this. And we should be here for each other. And it does help. It really helps. And it helped me then to know that I'm not alone. And I haven't experienced this alone. And I also so look forward to the day that, Lord willing, we welcome our healthy baby into our arms, into our home, and into our lives. And I just want to encourage you, don't be anxious. Don't be afraid. Cast your fears to God. He can handle them. And if you're pregnant, just enjoy the life inside of you. Enjoy what your body's capable of doing. for whatever amount of time, and love yourself with so much grace, and don't be afraid, okay? Let's support each other. If you want to comment your experience or whatever, like, this is a safe place to do so, on my behalf. And all I request is that everybody be kind and gentle and uplifting in the comments, okay? So I'm praying for us mamas. Like, I am a mama. It's just my baby's not here. And Lord willing, someday I will have babies here in my arms, and you will too. But just keep the faith and take care of yourself, take care of your body, and be kind to yourself, be kind to your body, and speak kindly to yourself. Remember John 10:10, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I, meaning Jesus, have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Thank you for listening to my story and just for being here. And I will see you in the next video.